The chemical messengers that transport signals from one cell to another, known as phytohormones in plants, are called what in animals? Hormones. Hormones are signaling molecules produced by glands in multicellular organisms that are transported by the circulatory system to target distant organs to regulate physiology and behavior. In plants, similar chemical messengers are referred to as phytohormones or plant hormones, controlling growth and development. Where is the Rialto Bridge? Venice. The Rialto Bridge is one of the 4 bridges spanning the Grand Canal in Venice, Italy. It is an iconic landmark and a significant architectural feat of the Renaissance, completed in 1591. Who knighted Humphrey Davy, the chemist and inventor? George III. Sir Humphrey Davy was a prominent British chemist and inventor, known for isolating elements like sodium and potassium and inventing the miner's safety lamp. He was knighted by King George III in 1812, recognizing his significant contributions to science. The Peasants' Revolt in England in 1381, led by figures such as John Ball, Wat Tyler, and Jack Straw, and regarded as the most extreme and widespread insurrection in English history, was primarily about what issue? Taxation. The Peasants' Revolt of 1381 was a major uprising in medieval England, primarily fueled by socio-economic grievances and the imposition of a poll tax. This historical event highlighted deep-seated discontent with feudal oppression and governmental policies. In the USA, what was significant about the Long Island Motor Parkway, built by William Kissam Vanderbilt II and opened on October 10, 1908? It was one of the first toll roads. The Long Island Motor Parkway, opened in 1908, was a pioneering private highway in the United States, designed specifically for automobiles. It is notable for being one of the first toll roads and a precursor to modern parkways and limited-access highways. What device, a tool for studying astronomical phenomena, uses the principle that when a material is heated to incandescence, it emits light characteristic of its atomic makeup? Spectroscope. A spectroscope is an optical instrument used to disperse light into its constituent wavelengths, allowing scientists to analyze the spectral lines produced by various elements. This analysis is fundamental in fields such as astronomy and chemistry for determining the composition, temperature, and velocity of celestial bodies or chemical samples. Which U.S. president was assassinated by Charles J. Guiteau in the 6th Street station of the Baltimore and Potomac Railroad in Washington, D.C.? James Garfield. James Garfield, the 20th President of the United States, was assassinated in 1881, only 4 months into his presidency. His death by a disgruntled office seeker highlighted the urgent need for civil service reform, which subsequently led to the enactment of the Pendleton Civil Service Reform Act of 1883. What complex, once the residence of the Muslim rulers of Granada that later became a Christian palace, was rediscovered in the 19th century and now showcases Islamic architecture, alongside Christian 16th century buildings and gardens? The Alhambra. The Alhambra is a magnificent palace and fortress complex located in Granada, Andalusia, Spain. Originally constructed as a small fortress in 889 and extensively rebuilt in the mid-13th century by the Nasrid Emir Muhammad bin Al-Ahmar, it stands as a paramount example of Moorish architecture. This UNESCO World Heritage Site is celebrated for its intricate Islamic designs, later Christian additions, and stunning gardens, making it a significant cultural and historical landmark. In statistics, what term is applied to techniques for modeling and analyzing several variables to understand how the typical value of the dependent variable changes when one of the independent variables is varied, and the other variables are fixed? Regression analysis. Regression analysis is a fundamental statistical method used to model and analyze the relationship between a dependent variable and one or more independent variables. It helps in understanding how the typical value of the dependent variable changes when one of the independent variables is varied, and the other variables are held constant, making it crucial for prediction and forecasting in various scientific and economic fields. According to the Bible, which country was hit by 10 plagues, including those of frogs and locusts? Egypt. According to the book of Exodus, ancient Egypt was afflicted by 10 devastating plagues as divine judgment for the Pharaoh's refusal to release the Israelite slaves. These plagues, which included turning water to blood, frogs, locusts, and the death of the firstborn, are central to the Passover narrative and a significant event in Abrahamic religions. Who in history is the only divorced wife of someone who later became president of the USA? Jane Wyman. Jane Wyman was the first wife of Ronald Reagan, who later became the 40th President of the United States. They divorced in 1948, making her the only former spouse of a US president to have been divorced before his presidency. This historical detail highlights a unique aspect of presidential personal lives and marital history. A popular vote in Switzerland in November 2009 approved banning the building of what in the country? Minarets. In November 2009, Switzerland held a national referendum where voters approved a constitutional ban on the construction of new minarets. This decision sparked international debate regarding religious freedom and integration in Europe. The ban applies only to new constructions, not existing minarets, reflecting a specific socio-political stance of the time. What kind of gemstones are the Cullinan and the Hope? Diamond. The Cullinan diamond, discovered in 1905, is the largest gem-quality rough diamond ever found. The Hope diamond is a renowned deep blue diamond, famous for its rarity and storied history. Both are iconic examples of diamonds, which are among the most valuable gemstones. Which state of the USA is divided into 64 parishes, unlike the 48 other states that primarily use counties? Louisiana. Louisiana is unique among U.S. states for its administrative divisions, using parishes instead of counties. This distinction is a direct legacy of the state's French and Spanish colonial history, where religious parishes served as the primary civil subdivisions. Which international organization focused on human rights was founded in London in July 1961 by English lawyer Peter Benenson? Amnesty International. Amnesty International is a global non-governmental organization dedicated to human rights, founded on the principle that everyone possesses fundamental human rights. It conducts research and campaigns to prevent and end grave abuses of human rights worldwide, advocating for justice and freedom. Which hormone primarily controls the female reproductive cycle? Estrogen. Estrogen, also spelled estrogen, is a crucial female sex hormone responsible for the development and regulation of the female reproductive system and secondary sex characteristics. It plays a vital role in the menstrual cycle, pregnancy, and maintaining bone health. What does a milliner traditionally make or sell? Hats. A milliner is a person who designs, makes, or sells hats, particularly women's hats. This traditional craft involves various skills, from selecting fabrics and materials to shaping and decorating headwear, combining artistry with fashion. Whose famous scientific works include The Descent of Man, and Selection in Relation to Sex, The Expression of Emotions in Man and Animals, and The Power of Movement in Plants. Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin was an English naturalist and geologist whose groundbreaking contributions to evolutionary biology are fundamental. His seminal work, On the Origin of Species, along with others like The Descent of Man, established the theory of evolution by natural selection, profoundly shaping modern scientific understanding. What kind of ship was the British ship HMS Hermes, laid down in January 1918, launched on the 11th of September 1919 but not commissioned until 1923, the first ship of its kind to be designed and built anywhere in the world? Aircraft carrier. HMS Hermes was the world's first ship to be designed and built specifically as an aircraft carrier, commissioned in 1923 by the Royal Navy. Its pioneering design laid the groundwork for future naval aviation capabilities, marking a significant evolution in naval warfare and ship construction. What is the only state flag in the USA that incorporates the battle flag of the Confederacy, also called the Rebel, Southern Cross, or Dixie flag? Mississippi. Prior to 2020, Mississippi was the only U.S. state whose official flag incorporated the Confederate battle flag. This flag, also known as the Southern Cross, was a controversial symbol reflecting the state's historical ties to the Confederacy during the American Civil War. In 2020, Mississippi adopted a new state flag, removing the Confederate symbol. The 15 elements with atomic numbers 89 to 103, which includes actinium, Ac, thorium, Th, uranium, U, neptunium, Np, plutonium, Pu, americium, Am, californium, Cf, einsteinium, S, and lawrencium, Lr, are known as what? Actinoid series. The actinoid series comprises 15 metallic chemical elements with atomic numbers from 89, actinium, to 103, lawrencium. These elements are characterized by their radioactivity and include significant isotopes like uranium and plutonium, which are crucial in nuclear energy and weapons. They are typically placed in a separate row below the main body of the periodic table. The 11th of November is marked in many countries as Remembrance Day, Poppy Day, Armistice Day or Veterans Day to commemorate the sacrifices of members of the armed forces and civilians in time of war. Why has that date been selected? The end of World War I. November 11th is observed globally as Remembrance Day, Armistice Day, or Veterans Day because it marks the signing of the armistice that ended World War I. The armistice between the Allies and Germany was signed on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918, bringing a formal end to the hostilities. With what type of music is Scott Joplin associated? Ragtime. Scott Joplin is widely recognized as the king of ragtime and is one of the most important composers of this genre. Ragtime is an American musical genre characterized by its syncopated, or ragged, rhythm, which was popular between the 1890s and 1910s. Who is told, in a Shakespearean play, that he will never vanquished be until great Birnam wood to high Dunsinane hill shall come against him. Macbeth in Macbeth. This famous prophecy is delivered to Macbeth by the apparitions in Shakespeare's play, Macbeth. It is part of a series of prophecies that lead Macbeth to a false sense of security, believing he is invincible. The prophecy is later fulfilled when Malcolm's army uses branches from Birnam wood as camouflage, appearing as if the wood itself is moving towards Dunsinane. What is the popular name of light green apples that originated in Australia in 1868 from a chance seedling propagated by Maria Ann Smith? Granny Smith. The Granny Smith apple is a firm, tart, green apple cultivar that originated in Australia in 1868. It is named after Maria Ann Smith, who propagated a chance seedling, making it a globally recognized fruit variety. Who was the second person to orbit the Earth? Guman Titov. Guman Titov was a Soviet cosmonaut who became the second person to orbit the Earth aboard Vostok 2 in August 1961. His mission lasted over 25 hours, completing 17 orbits, and provided valuable data on human endurance in space. Which province of Canada shares the longest border with the USA? Ontario. Ontario, Canada's most populous province, shares the longest international land border with the United States. This extensive border facilitates significant economic, cultural, and transportation links between the two countries. What is a full plaid? A piece of tartan fabric, worn over the shoulder as part of full Highland dress uniform. A full plaid refers to a large piece of tartan fabric traditionally worn over the shoulder as an integral part of formal Scottish Highland dress. It is a significant cultural garment, often associated with clan identity and heritage. What material was used instead of paper for writing in ancient Egypt? Papyrus. Papyrus was a thick, paper-like material produced from the pith of the papyrus plant, Cyperus papyrus, by ancient Egyptians. It was the primary writing surface in ancient Egypt, crucial for recording historical, religious, and administrative texts. Under what conditions is cryosurgery performed? Very low temperatures. Cryosurgery is a minimally invasive surgical technique that involves using extremely low temperatures to freeze and destroy abnormal or diseased tissue. This method utilizes liquid nitrogen or argon gas to achieve precise tissue destruction with minimal scarring. The Dana, bandicoot, cuscus, and potaroo are native to which country? Australia. These are marsupials endemic to Australia and surrounding islands, highlighting Australia's unique biodiversity. The bandicoot and potaroo are particularly well known, representing the continent's distinct mammalian fauna. Which British politician, known for strong views on immigration, national identity, monetary policy, and the UK's entry into the EEC, served as a Conservative Party MP from 1950 to 1974 and an Ulster Unionist MP from 1974 to 1987? Enoch Powell. Enoch Powell was a controversial but influential figure in British politics, renowned for his "Rivers of Blood" speech concerning immigration. His views significantly impacted public discourse on national identity and the European Economic Community, EEC, making him a notable subject in 20th-century British history. Besides the modern annual honorarium, what traditional reward has the Poet Laureate of the UK historically received since the 1500s? A butt of sack. The Poet Laureate, an official poet to the monarch, traditionally received a butt of sack, a large barrel of sherry wine, in addition to monetary payment. This historical tradition highlights the unique nature of the office and its deep roots in British cultural history. The toga, a distinctive wool garment of ancient Rome, was a sash wrapped around the body. Approximately how long was this sash? 20 feet, 6 meters. The toga was a significant symbol of Roman citizenship, primarily worn by adult male citizens. Its considerable length, around 20 feet, required skill to drape properly and reflected its formal and ceremonial importance in Roman society. In which decade was Queen Elizabeth II born? 1920s. Queen Elizabeth II was born on April 21, 1926, placing her birth squarely within the 1920s. Her long reign, from 1952 to 2022, spanned significant global changes and made her the longest reigning monarch in British history. San Francisco is closest to which ocean? Pacific Ocean. San Francisco, a major city in California, is located on the west coast of the United States. Its geographical position places it directly adjacent to the Pacific Ocean, influencing its climate, culture, and maritime activities. In which country is the musical, Fiddler on the Roof, set? Russia. Fiddler on the Roof is set in the fictional Jewish shtetl of Anatevka in Imperial Russia in 1905. The musical explores themes of tradition, family, love, and persecution against the backdrop of Tsarist Russia, making its setting crucial to its narrative. Which of the Great Lakes is the only one located entirely within the USA? Lake Michigan. The Great Lakes are a series of interconnected freshwater lakes primarily located in the upper Mid-East region of North America. Lake Michigan is unique among them as it is the only one situated entirely within the borders of the United States, while the others are shared with Canada. Who won Best Spoken Word Album Grammy Awards in 2006 and 2008 for abridged audiobook versions of his books, Dreams from My Father, and The Audacity of Hope? Barack Obama. Barack Obama, the 44th President of the United States, received Grammy Awards for Best Spoken Word Album for the audiobook versions of his memoirs. These literary works, Dreams from My Father, and The Audacity of Hope, offer insights into his life, political philosophy, and vision for the nation. What features are depicted on the reverse, verso, side of Euro banknotes? Bridges. Euro banknotes prominently feature architectural styles from different periods of European history. The reverse side, verso, of each denomination consistently depicts a stylized bridge, symbolizing communication and connection between the peoples of Europe and the world. What term refers to the night in November 1938 when Nazis extensively destroyed Jewish businesses and synagogues across Germany and Austria? Kristallnacht, Night of Broken Glass. Kristallnacht, or the Night of Broken Glass, was a violent pogrom against Jews throughout Nazi Germany on the 9th to the 10th of November 1938. Orchestrated by Nazi Party officials, it involved widespread destruction and marked a significant escalation of Nazi persecution, often considered a prelude to the Holocaust. Which U.S. federal agency, established on March 3, 1915, was dissolved on October 1, 1958, being succeeded by a new entity? National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, NACA. The National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, NACA, was a U.S. federal agency responsible for aeronautical research. Founded in 1915, its pioneering work in aerodynamics significantly advanced aviation technology. NACA was dissolved in 1958 and its assets and personnel became the core of the newly established National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA. What is the clear, watery fluid that fills the space between the cornea and the lens of the human eye? Aqueous humor. The aqueous humor is a transparent, watery fluid located in the anterior and posterior chambers of the eye, between the cornea and the lens. It plays a vital role in maintaining intraocular pressure, providing nutrients to the avascular cornea and lens, and removing waste products, crucial for overall eye health. Which country was established on the 1st of December 1918 through the union of the state of Slovenes, Croats and Serbs with the Kingdom of Serbia, which included the Kingdom of Montenegro, and existed until its invasion by the Axis powers in 1941? The Kingdom of Yugoslavia. The Kingdom of Yugoslavia was a significant state in the Balkans, formed after World War I, reflecting the aspirations for South Slav unity. Its establishment and subsequent dissolution during World War II are crucial events in 20th century European history. The term, Nordic, relates to which geographical area? Scandinavia. The term, Nordic, generally refers to a region in Northern Europe and the North Atlantic, encompassing Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway, and Sweden, along with their associated territories. Scandinavia is a sub-region within the Nordic countries, specifically comprising Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. When Russia became a communist state in 1918 under Lenin's leadership, who served as his foreign secretary? Leon Trotsky. Following the October Revolution in Russia, Leon Trotsky played a pivotal role as the People's Commissar for Foreign Affairs, Foreign Secretary, in the early Bolshevik government under Vladimir Lenin. He was instrumental in negotiating the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk, which ended Russia's involvement in World War I. The first Telstar satellite, which relayed the inaugural television pictures, telephone calls, and fax images via space, was designed to provide satellite communications over which area? The Atlantic Ocean. Telstar 1, launched in 1962, was the world's first active communications satellite capable of transmitting television signals. It marked a crucial milestone in satellite technology, primarily facilitating communication between North America and Europe across the Atlantic Ocean. What term describes the numerous small individual flowers that collectively form the flower head of plants such as daisies or sunflowers? Florets. A composite flower head, characteristic of plants in the Asteraceae family, like daisies and sunflowers, is not a single flower but an inflorescence composed of many tiny individual flowers. These individual flowers are called florets, and they can be ray florets or disc florets, each contributing to the overall appearance of the flower. Which architectural style in France was significantly influenced by the regency of Marie de' Medici, with notable architects of the period including Salomon de Brosse and Jacques Le Mercier? Louis XIII style. The Louis XIII style in French architecture prevailed during the reign of Louis XIII, largely influenced by the regency of his mother, Marie de' Medici. Characterized by a blend of Mannerist and early Baroque elements, it emphasized grand scale, classical ornamentation, and the use of brick and stone, laying the groundwork for the more elaborate styles of Louis XIV. What is the derivation of the word napalm, meaning a type of incendiary bomb? The words naphthenic and palmitic acids. Napalm is an incendiary mixture, often used as a weapon, composed of a gelling agent and gasoline. The term napalm is a portmanteau derived from naphthenic and palmitic acids, which were components of the original thickening agent used to create the gel. This chemical composition allows the fuel to stick to surfaces and burn for an extended period. Before becoming President of the USA in 1977, and after being discharged from the Navy in 1953, Jimmy Carter took over and expanded his family business in Plains, Georgia. What was the business? Peanut farm. Jimmy Carter, the 39th President of the United States, was a peanut farmer before entering national politics. After leaving the U.S. Navy, he returned to his hometown of Plains, Georgia, to manage and expand his family's peanut business. This background is often highlighted as part of his humble origins and connection to agriculture. If you have played 50 games and won 30, giving a 60% success rate, how many more games would you have to play to achieve a 75% success rate, assuming that you win them all? 30. To solve this, let x be the number of additional games to play and win. The total games become 50 plus x, and total wins become 30 plus x. For a 75% success rate, 30 plus x, 50 plus x, equals 0.75. Solving this equation, 30 plus x equals 0.75 asterisk, 50 plus x, equals greater than 30 plus x equals 37.5 plus 0.75 x equals greater than 0.25 x equals 7.5 equals greater than x equals 30, yields 30 additional games. Why is Chantilly porcelain, made from 1730 to 1800 near the Château de Chantilly, Vas, France, technically an imitation porcelain? Kaolin, i.e., China clay, was not an ingredient. Chantilly porcelain, produced in France during the 18th century, is considered soft paste, or imitation porcelain because it lacked kaolin. Kaolin, also known as China clay, is a crucial ingredient for hard paste, or true porcelain, giving it its characteristic strength, whiteness, and vitrification at high temperatures. The absence of kaolin meant Chantilly ware had a different composition and firing properties compared to true Chinese or Meissen porcelain. Where was the Boer War fought? Southern Africa. The Boer Wars, primarily referring to the Second Boer War, 1899 to 1902, were fought in southern Africa between the British Empire and the two independent Boer republics, the South African Republic, Transvaal Republic, and the Orange Free State. The conflict was largely driven by imperial expansion, the discovery of gold and diamonds, and control over resources in the region. The first Canadian province to adopt one of these officially was Nova Scotia in 1955, and now all provinces and territories, except Nunavut and Cape Breton Island, have officially adopted a what? Tartan. Tartans are patterned clothes, often associated with Scottish clans, that have been adopted as official symbols in various regions, including Canadian provinces and territories. Nova Scotia was the first Canadian province to officially adopt its own tartan in 1955. These provincial tartans serve as unique cultural identifiers, often reflecting the history and heritage of the respective regions. What author's nonfiction work includes: The Fate of Man, The Future in America, A Search After Realities, Little Wars, The New World Order, The Outline of History, Russia in the Shadows, and A Short History of the World. H. G. Wells. H. G. Wells was a prolific English writer, known for his science fiction novels but also for his extensive non-fiction works. His historical writings, such as The Outline of History and A Short History of the World, were pioneering attempts to present a universal history to a broad public. He also wrote on social and political topics, often exploring ideas about future societies and global governance. Which Russian composer, after writing The Firebird for the Russian ballet, became a U.S. citizen in 1945? Igor Stravinsky. Igor Stravinsky was a highly influential Russian-born composer, widely regarded as one of the most important composers of the 20th century. He achieved international fame with his ballets commissioned by Sergei Diaghilev for the ballets Russes, including The Firebird, 1910, Petrushka, 1911, and The Rite of Spring, 1913. Stravinsky became a naturalized French citizen in 1934 and later a U.S. citizen in 1945, spending a significant part of his career in the United States. The counties of Alameda, El Dorado, Fresno, Marin, Mariposa, Nevada, Orange, Riverside, Sacramento, San Bernardino, San Joaquin, San Mateo, Santa Clara, Santa Cruz, Sonoma and Ventura are in what state of the USA? California. California is the most populous U.S. state and has 58 counties, known for their diverse geography, economies, and population densities. These listed counties span various regions, including major metropolitan areas, agricultural centers, and scenic natural landscapes, reflecting the state's vast administrative divisions. Which subject in China was influenced by the following individuals: Liu Hui, Zhu Geng, Li Chunfeng, Yang Hui, Shen Kuo, Liu Xin, Zhang Heng, Liu Hui, Zhu Chongji and Wang Xiaotong? Mathematics. These prominent Chinese scholars made significant contributions to mathematics over centuries, developing concepts in geometry, algebra, and number theory. Their collective work played a crucial role in the advancement of scientific thought and practical applications in ancient China. What large, flat valley, dominating the central portion of the state of California, USA and stretching approximately 800 kilometers, 500 miles, has its northern half called the Sacramento Valley and its southern half the San Joaquin Valley, which meet at the Sacramento-San Joaquin River Delta? The Central Valley. California's Central Valley is a vast and fertile agricultural region, crucial for the state's economy and food production. It is a major physiographic feature, delineated by the Sierra Nevada to the east and the Coast Ranges to the west, and is drained by the Sacramento and San Joaquin River systems. What autism spectrum disorder, first identified in 1944 due to a study of children who lacked nonverbal communication skills, demonstrated limited empathy with their peers, and were physically clumsy? Asperger syndrome. Asperger syndrome, though no longer a separate diagnosis in the DSM-5, was a specific form of autism spectrum disorder characterized by difficulties in social interaction and nonverbal communication, alongside restricted and repetitive patterns of behavior and interests. It was first identified by Hans Asperger in 1944, based on observations of children with these particular traits. In which country is Strasbourg located? France. Strasbourg is a major city in eastern France, situated on the Ille River where it joins the Rhine on the border with Germany. It is famous for housing several important European institutions, including the European Parliament and the Council of Europe. Which compound is also recognized as vitamin B9 or folacin? Folic acid. Folic acid, or vitamin B9, is a crucial B vitamin essential for cell growth, DNA synthesis, and the production of red blood cells. It plays a vital role in preventing neural tube defects in infants and is often supplemented during pregnancy. Which American playwright, known for Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, integrated an Americanization of the theater of the absurd, a movement popularized by European playwrights like Jean Genet, Samuel Beckett, and Eugene Ionesco? Edward Albee. Edward Albee was a significant American playwright celebrated for his exploration of the modern condition, often through themes of disillusionment and the breakdown of communication. His work, notably, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, adapted the stylistic elements of the European theater of the absurd to comment on American society. Which historically significant book was originally intended to be titled, in translation, 4.5 Years of Struggle Against Lies, Stupidity and Cowardice? Mein Kampf. Mein Kampf, My Struggle, is an autobiographical manifesto by Adolf Hitler, outlining his political ideology and future plans for Germany. Written during his imprisonment in the 1920s, it became a foundational text for Nazism and played a crucial role in shaping 20th century history. Which major river flows through the cities of Cincinnati and Pittsburgh? Ohio. The Ohio River is a significant tributary of the Mississippi River, flowing through or bordering 6 states in the Midwestern and Southern United States. It plays a vital role in regional commerce, transportation, and serves as a major source of drinking water for millions. Identify the ancient writing system, characterized by wedge-shaped and rectangular marks, which was in use from approximately the 30th century BC to the 1st century AD. Cuneiform. Cuneiform is one of the oldest known writing systems, originating in ancient Mesopotamia with the Sumerians around 3000 BC. It was primarily inscribed on clay tablets using a blunt reed stylus, and its development marked a pivotal advancement in human communication and record-keeping. What was the nationality of former UN Secretary-General Boutros Ghali? Egyptian. Boutros Ghali was an Egyptian diplomat who served as the 6th Secretary-General of the United Nations from 1992 to 1996. He was the first African to hold this prestigious international position. The boundary of which territory, disputed by the USA and Canada, originating between the Russian and British Empire in 1821, was resolved by arbitration in 1903? Alaska. The Alaska boundary dispute concerned the border between Alaska, U.S. territory, and British Columbia, Canada, then part of the British Empire. The dispute, stemming from an 1821 treaty, was settled by international arbitration in 1903, largely favoring the American claim. Which small island in the Straits of Bab el-Mandeb at the south end of the Red Sea was administered as part of Aden during British occupation until 1967, when it was given to the Democratic People's Republic of Yemen? Perim. Perim Island is a strategically important volcanic island located in the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, controlling access to the Red Sea. Historically a British possession, it was transferred to the newly independent South Yemen in 1967, reflecting significant post-colonial geopolitical shifts in the region. What is the connection between the computer programming language Ada, developed in 1980, and Ada, the daughter of poet Lord Byron? Ada Lovelace's work on Charles Babbage's analytical engine. The Ada programming language was named in honor of Ada Lovelace, widely regarded as the first computer programmer. She is recognized for her notes on Charles Babbage's analytical engine in the mid-19th century, which contained what is considered the first algorithm intended to be carried out by a machine. Rembrandt painted a number of paintings of himself, all containing what title? Self-portrait. Rembrandt van Rijn, the renowned Dutch Golden Age painter, created an extensive series of self-portraits throughout his career. These works are celebrated for their psychological depth and technical mastery, offering a unique visual autobiography of the artist. In Greek legend, who was the daughter of Zeus and Demeter? Persephone. In Greek mythology, Persephone is the daughter of Zeus and Demeter, the goddess of agriculture. Her abduction by Hades, god of the underworld, and Demeter's subsequent grief are central to the myth explaining the changing seasons. Who is the next in this series of Nobel laureates? Adolphe von Baeyer, 1905, Henry Moissan, 1906, Edward Buchner, 1907, Ernest Rutherford, 1908, Wilhelm Oswald, 1909, Otto Wallach, 1910. Marie Curie, 1911 Nobel Prize in Chemistry. The presented list consists of sequential Nobel Prize winners in chemistry from 1905 to 1910. Marie Curie was awarded the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1911 for her discoveries of radium and polonium and her isolation of radium, making her the next in this particular chronological sequence for that specific prize. What telephone number was first used for the world's oldest emergency call service, introduced in the London area in 1937? 999. The 999 emergency number was first introduced in London in 1937, making it the world's oldest such service. It allows direct access to police, ambulance, fire, and Coast Guard services, playing a crucial role in public safety and emergency response. How many kings of England have been named Henry? 8. There have been 8 kings of England named Henry, a name prominent in the English monarchy's history. These monarchs reigned across various periods, from Henry I, early 12th century, to Henry VIII, 16th century, each leaving a significant mark on British history. Which Austrian, brother of Franz Joseph, was crowned Emperor of Mexico in 1864 and executed in 1867? Maximilian. Archduke Ferdinand Maximilian of Austria, brother of Emperor Franz Joseph I, was controversially installed as Emperor of Mexico by Napoleon III of France in 1864. His brief reign ended tragically when he was captured and executed by Republican forces under Benito Juárez in 1867, marking a pivotal moment in Mexican history. Which venomous snake is capable of dilating its neck to form a hood? Cobra. The cobra is a highly venomous snake known for its distinctive ability to flatten and expand the ribs behind its head to form a hood when threatened. This defensive posture, often accompanied by hissing, serves to intimidate predators and rivals. What music, commissioned for George II's coronation in 1727, has been featured in every British coronation since? Zadig the Priest, by Handel. Zadig the Priest is one of Handel's coronation anthems, composed for the coronation of King George II in 1727. Its majestic music and stirring lyrics have made it a traditional and beloved fixture in every subsequent British coronation ceremony, embodying centuries of royal tradition. When were the Yeomen of the Guard, Beefeaters, established in England? Coronation of Henry VII, 1485. The yeomen of the guard, often informally known as beefeaters, were established in 1485 by King Henry VII at his coronation. They serve as the monarch's ceremonial bodyguards and are an enduring symbol of British royal tradition, distinct from the yeoman warders of the Tower of London. The Royal Observatory, from which standard time was recorded, was established in Greenwich in 1676. Where is it now? Hurstmonceux Castle, Surrey, England. The Royal Observatory was established in Greenwich in 1675 by King Charles II to improve navigation and standardize time. While its original site in Greenwich is historically significant, the main scientific operations of the Royal Greenwich Observatory were later moved to Hurstmonceux Castle in Surrey, England, in 1948 to escape increasing light pollution in London. This relocation aimed to provide clearer skies for astronomical observations. Which musical term denotes a vocal slide between two pitches? Portamento. Portamento is a musical instruction to slide from one pitch to another, creating a smooth, continuous transition without distinct steps. This technique is frequently employed in vocal music and string instruments to achieve expressive and flowing melodic lines. What is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet? Aleph. Aleph is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, a consonantal script used for writing the Hebrew language. It serves as a mater lectionis in some contexts, indicating a vowel sound, but primarily acts as a silent consonant or a glottal stop. What is the capital of the U.S. state of California? Sacramento. Sacramento is the capital city of the U.S. state of California, located in the Central Valley. It serves as the political center for the most populous U.S. state and is a significant hub for government, education, and various industries. What long bone in the arm runs from the shoulder to the elbow, connecting the scapula and the lower arm, and consists of three sections? Humerus. The humerus is the long bone in the upper arm, extending from the shoulder to the elbow. It articulates with the scapula, shoulder blade, at its proximal end and with the radius and ulnar, forearm bones, at its distal end, facilitating a wide range of arm movements. Who was the king of Iraq from 1921 to 1933? Faisal bin al-Hussein bin Ali al-Hashmi. Faisal I, also known as Faisal bin Hussein, was the first king of Iraq, reigning from 1921 to 1933. He played a crucial role in establishing the modern Iraqi state under a British mandate following the collapse of the Ottoman Empire after World War I. The Caroline Norton court case highlighted the injustice of what British law? Most assets acquired by a wife went to her husband. The Caroline Norton case, 1836, was pivotal in exposing the severe inequities of British law regarding married women's property and parental rights. Her personal struggle significantly influenced the passage of the Matrimonial Causes Act of 1857 and later, the Married Women's Property Acts, which progressively granted married women greater control over their earnings and assets. 3 Gordon Bennett Cups were established for motor racing and ballooning early in the 20th century by James Gordon Bennett Jr. Of what business was he the millionaire owner? New York Herald. James Gordon Bennett Jr. was a prominent American newspaper publisher and sportsman who inherited and expanded the New York Herald *, making it a leading newspaper of its era. His legacy includes funding expeditions and establishing prestigious international sporting trophies, known as the Gordon Bennett Cups, for various competitions including motor racing and ballooning. Apart from its coastline with the South China Sea, which country is completely surrounded by the state of Sarawak, Malaysia, which also divides it into? Brunei. Brunei, officially the nation of Brunei, the abode of peace, is a sovereign state located on the north coast of the island of Borneo in Southeast Asia. It is geographically unique for being almost entirely encircled by the Malaysian state of Sarawak, with its territory further divided into two non-contiguous sections by Sarawak's Limbang district. Which scientist married his cousin from the Wedgwood family, famous for their pottery manufacturing business, following his father's example, who had originally married into the Wedgwood family? Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin, the renowned naturalist celebrated for his theory of evolution by natural selection, married his first cousin, Emma Wedgwood. Emma was the daughter of Hosea Wedgwood II, whose father founded the iconic Wedgwood pottery firm, illustrating the interconnectedness of prominent intellectual and industrial families in 19th-century Britain. What instrument is associated with Pablo Casals? Cello. Pablo Casals was a world-renowned Spanish cellist, conductor, and composer. He is widely regarded as one of the greatest cellists of all time, celebrated for his exceptional virtuosity, profound interpretive depth, and his pivotal rediscovery and popularization of Bach's cello suites. What is the capital of Utah? Salt Lake City. Salt Lake City is the capital and the most populous municipality of the U.S. state of Utah. Founded in 1847 by Mormon pioneers, it serves as the global headquarters of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and is a significant economic and cultural center in the Intermountain West region. Which American blues, soul, R&B, rock and roll and jazz singer, songwriter has won 4 Grammys, 17 Blues Foundation Music Awards, and been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, 1993, the Blues Foundation Hall of Fame, 2001, and the Grammy Hall of Fame, both 1999 and 2008. Etta James. Etta James was an iconic American singer whose powerful and versatile voice traversed multiple genres including blues, soul, R&B, rock and roll, and jazz. Her illustrious career garnered numerous accolades, including 4 Grammy Awards and inductions into several prestigious music halls of fame, cementing her legacy as a legendary figure in music history. Which New Zealander, known as the White Mouse, was a leading figure in the Maquis groups of the French Resistance, and became one of the Allies' most decorated service women of World War II? Nancy Wake. Nancy Wake was a highly decorated New Zealand-born British agent who served in the French Resistance during World War II. Known as the White Mouse by the Gestapo, she played a crucial role in coordinating Maquis groups and was one of the most decorated service women of the war. On May 21, 2009, Upper Sherpa set a new record for the most ascents of Mount Everest. How many times had he reached the top? 19. Upper Sherpa, a Nepali Sherpa mountaineer, set a significant record for the most ascents of Mount Everest, completing his 19th successful summit on May 21, 2009. He later extended this record, showcasing remarkable endurance and skill in high-altitude mountaineering. What is the medical term for a jawbone? Mandible. The mandible is the scientific term for the lower jawbone in vertebrates. It is the largest, strongest, and lowest bone in the human facial skeleton, essential for chewing and speech. Between 1973 and 1979, Mohammad Daud Khan, Noor Mohammad Tarki, Hafizullah Amin and Babrak Karmal were presidents of which country? Afghanistan. The listed individuals, Mohammad Daud Khan, Noor Mohammad Tarki, Hafizullah Amin, and Babrak Karmal, were pivotal leaders of Afghanistan during a politically tumultuous period from 1973 to 1979. This era witnessed several changes in government and heightened political instability, culminating just before the Soviet invasion. What word is used in linguistics and science to describe distinct concepts? Paradigm. A paradigm is a typical example, pattern, or model of something. In science, as popularized by Thomas Kuhn, it refers to a set of practices that define a scientific discipline at any particular period, shaping research and understanding. The spicebush swallowtail, small white, common Jezebel, Cana blue, red Pierrot, and Duke of Burgundy are varieties of what? Butterfly. These names refer to various species of butterflies, which are insects belonging to the order Lepidoptera. Butterflies are known for their complete metamorphosis, evolving through egg, larva, caterpillar, pupa, and adult stages. In India in the 1930s, the left-wing Nationalist Party was run by Subhas Chandra Bose, and Gandhi's followers were in the center. What was the main right-wing party? The Muslim League. The Muslim League, founded in 1906, became a prominent right-wing political party in British India, advocating for the rights of Muslims and eventually for the creation of Pakistan. Its influence significantly grew in the 1930s and 1940s, culminating in the demand for a separate Muslim state. Where are St. Lawrence Island and St. Matthew Island? Bering Sea. St. Lawrence Island and St. Matthew Island are located in the Bering Sea, a marginal sea of the Pacific Ocean that separates the North American and Asian continents. This region is characterized by its harsh subarctic climate, rich marine biodiversity, and significant strategic importance. What is the highest peak in both the western and southern hemispheres? Cerro Aconcagua. Cerro Aconcagua, located in the Andes mountain range in Mendoza Province, Argentina, is the highest mountain in the Americas. Standing at 6,960.8 meters, 22,837 feet, it is also the highest peak in both the western and southern hemispheres, as well as the highest outside of Asia. What strike of 1,400 women and girls was caused by poor working conditions in the Bryant and May factory in 1888? London Match Girls Strike. The London Match Girls Strike of 1888 was a pivotal industrial action initiated by women and girls at the Bryant and May match factory. This historic strike, protesting inhumane working conditions and, Fossey Joe, phosphorus necrosis, garnered widespread public support and contributed significantly to improvements in labor rights. What term was coined by Alfred Maury for the transitional state between wakefulness and sleep? Hypnagogia. Hypnagogia refers to the transitional state of consciousness experienced between wakefulness and sleep. During this phase, individuals may encounter vivid sensory phenomena, such as auditory or visual hallucinations, unusual thoughts, or lucid dream-like experiences. In 1989, there was a peaceful transfer of power to non-communist governments in East Germany, Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, and which other country? Bulgaria. The peaceful transitions of power in these Eastern European countries in 1989, often referred to as the revolutions of 1989 or the fall of communism, marked the end of Soviet influence and the Cold War era. Bulgaria was one of these nations, transitioning from a one-party communist rule to a multi-party democratic system. What is obtained from a sturgeon? Caviar. Caviar consists of salt-cured raw eggs from species of the Aspirants family, commonly known as sturgeon. It is considered a delicacy and is primarily sourced from various sturgeon species found in the Caspian Sea and other regions. The Dome of Discovery was built on London's South Bank for which occasion? Festival of Britain, 1951. The Dome of Discovery was a prominent feature of the Festival of Britain in 1951, an exhibition held across the UK to promote British achievements in science, technology, industrial design, architecture, and the arts. The festival aimed to boost national morale and signal Britain's post-war recovery. The Tagus River runs through which capital city? Lisbon. The Tagus River, known as Tejo in Portuguese, is the longest river in the Iberian Peninsula. It flows through Portugal's capital city, Lisbon, before emptying into the Atlantic Ocean, forming a significant estuary. How many months are there in a decade? 120. A decade represents a period of 10 years. Since there are 12 months in each year, a decade consists of 10 multiplied by 12, resulting in a total of 120 months. This is a fundamental unit for measuring time. What sport is featured in The Defense, a novel by Vladimir Nabokov published in 1930? Chess. The Defense, Zashchita Luzhina, is a prominent novel by Vladimir Nabokov, first published in 1930. The narrative centers on the life of a chess grandmaster, Alexander Luzhin, and intricately explores his psychological immersion and eventual breakdown due to his obsession with the game of chess. It is considered a significant work from Nabokov's Russian period. Henry VIII married Anne of Cleves after seeing a, presumably, too flattering portrait of her by whom? Hans Holbein. Hans Holbein the Younger was a distinguished German painter, renowned for his detailed portraits of the Tudor court, including Henry VIII. His portrait of Anne of Cleves was a key factor in Henry VIII's decision to marry her, though the king famously expressed disappointment upon meeting her in person. Their marriage was subsequently annulled. In which year did the South African government lift the ban on the African National Congress, the Pan-Africanist Congress, the South African Communist Party and the United Democratic Front, and release Nelson Mandela from prison? 1990. On February 2, 1990, then-President F.W. de Klerk announced the unbanning of major anti-apartheid organizations and the impending release of Nelson Mandela. Mandela was subsequently released from prison on February 11, 1990. This pivotal year marked the beginning of South Africa's transition from apartheid to a multiracial democracy. Which comic strip created by Rudolf Dirks that first appeared in 1897 in the American Humorist, the Sunday supplement of the New York Journal, is still distributed, making it the oldest comic strip still in syndication? The Katzenjammer Kids. The Katzenjammer Kids, created by Rudolf Dirks, first appeared in 1897 and holds the distinction of being the oldest comic strip still in syndication. Inspired by Wilhelm Busch's Max and Moritz, it depicts the mischievous escapades of Hans and Fritz. This comic strip significantly influenced the early development of sequential art and cartooning. Which lake, the largest in Central Europe, is sometimes referred to as the Hungarian Sea? Balaton. Lake Balaton is the largest freshwater lake in Central Europe and a prominent tourist destination in Hungary. Its immense size and popularity have earned it the affectionate moniker, Hungarian Sea. The lake is known for its shallow waters, thermal springs, and numerous resort towns along its shores. What is another name for the southern bubuk owl, also called the mopoke or ruru? Moropok. The southern bubuk owl, Ninox bubuk, is the most common and widespread owl species found across Australia, as well as in New Zealand. In New Zealand, it is commonly referred to as the moropok, or by its Maori name, ruru. These names are onomatopoeic, reflecting its distinctive mopoke, or ruru, call. Where was Apollo's most renowned oracle based? Delphi. Delphi was an ancient religious sanctuary in Greece, home to the oracle of Apollo, known as the Pythia, who delivered prophecies. It was considered by the ancient Greeks to be the navel of the world, and held significant religious and political influence. In which country is it a traditional practice to stand on a beach and throw a rope with a weight to catch birds returning from foraging at sea? Nauru. Bird trapping using weighted ropes is a traditional cultural practice in Nauru, a small island nation in Micronesia. This method is used to catch frigate birds as they return from the sea, serving as both a food source and a cultural activity. What musical genre, made popular in the early 1970s by Bob Marley, incorporated Nyabingi and Rastafarian chanting into its music, lyrics, and album covers? Reggae. Reggae music, originating in Jamaica, achieved global popularity in the early 1970s, significantly influenced by Bob Marley. This genre is characterized by its distinctive rhythm and often incorporates elements of Nyabingi drumming and Rastafarian themes, reflecting cultural and spiritual aspects. How did Vesna Vulović make history in 1972? She survived a fall of over 10,000 meters from an aeroplane. Vesna Vulović, a Serbian flight attendant, holds the Guinness World Record for surviving the highest fall without a parachute after Jet Flight 367 exploded at 10,160 meters, 33,330 feet in 1972. Her survival is a remarkable feat of human endurance. Approximately how many days does it take the Moon to orbit the Earth? 27. The Moon takes approximately 27.3 days to complete one sidereal orbit around the Earth. This period, known as the sidereal month, is the time it takes for the Moon to return to the same position against the background stars. In which century were South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand designated as dominions? 20th. In the early 20th century, countries such as South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand were granted the status of dominions within the British Empire. This designation signified a high degree of autonomy and self-governance while maintaining a constitutional link to the British Crown. What phenomenon, discovered by Joseph Fourier in 1824, experimentally demonstrated by John Tyndall in 1858, and quantitatively reported by Svante Arrhenius in 1896, involves certain atmospheric gases trapping heat? The greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect is a natural process where certain gases in Earth's atmosphere trap heat, warming the planet. Joseph Fourier initially described the concept, John Tyndall demonstrated its physical basis through experiments, and Svante Arrhenius was the first to quantitatively link it to atmospheric carbon dioxide concentrations. What is the Internet Country Code Top-Level Domain, CCTLD, for Armenia? The MCCTLD is the country code top-level domain for Armenia, a sovereign state in the South Caucasus region. Managed by AMNIC, it is widely used by Armenian businesses and individuals, and has also gained popularity globally, particularly among radio stations due to its phonetic similarity to AM radio. In what style of painting are small distinct dots of color used to create the impression of a wide selection of other colors in blending, making use of the phenomenon of depicted imagery emerging from disparate points? Pointillism. Pointillism is a painting technique that emerged in the late 19th century as a branch of Neo-Impressionism, notably pioneered by Georges Seurat and Paul Signac. It involves applying small, distinct dots of pure color in patterns to form an image, relying on the viewer's eye and mind to optically blend the colors rather than physically mixing pigments on the palette. Where did the Aberfan disaster occur, where the collapse of a colliery spoiled tip in 1966 killed 144 people, including 116 children? Wales. The Aberfan disaster occurred on October 21, 1966, in the Welsh village of Aberfan. It was caused by the catastrophic collapse of a colliery spoil tip, which engulfed Pantgla Junior School and several homes, resulting in the deaths of 144 people, including 116 children. This tragedy led to significant changes in mining regulations and a national outpouring of grief and support. Where is the tendon known as the hamstring located? Behind the knee. The hamstring refers to a group of 3 muscles and their tendons located at the back of the thigh, extending from the hip to just below the knee. These muscles are crucial for knee flexion, bending the knee, hip extension, moving the leg backward, and overall lower limb stability and movement. They are frequently subject to strains and injuries, especially in athletes. Linus Torvalds is known for originating what in 1991? Linux computer operating system. Linus Torvalds is a Finnish-American software engineer renowned for creating the Linux kernel in 1991 while a student at the University of Helsinki. This open-source kernel forms the core of the Linux operating system, which has become foundational for a vast array of computing systems, including servers, supercomputers, Android mobile devices, and embedded systems, promoting the open-source software movement. The Great Plague, an outbreak of disease in England that killed an estimated 100,000 people, lasted for how long? 538 days. The Great Plague of London was a devastating epidemic of bubonic plague that primarily afflicted the city from 1665 to 1666, lasting approximately 538 days. It resulted in the deaths of an estimated 100,000 people, about a quarter of London's population at the time. This was one of the last major outbreaks of the plague in England and significantly impacted the social and economic fabric of the country. What word refers to traditional physical and mental disciplines originating in India, which are associated with meditative practices in Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism? Yoga. Yoga is a group of ancient physical, mental, and spiritual practices or disciplines that originated in India. It is one of the 6 orthodox schools of Hindu philosophical traditions and is also found in Buddhism and Jainism. Widely practiced globally for its health benefits, stress reduction, and spiritual development, yoga encompasses various styles, postures, breathing techniques, and meditation. Which pretender to the English throne during the reign of King Henry VII claimed to be Richard of Shrewsbury, 1st Duke of York, the younger son of King Edward IV, one of the little princes in the Tower, who, legend has it, was executed by Richard III? Perkin Warbeck. Perkin Warbeck was a pretender to the English throne during the reign of King Henry VII in the late 15th century. He claimed to be Richard of Shrewsbury, 1st Duke of York, one of the 2 princes in the Tower, whose disappearance under Richard III's reign remains a historical mystery. Warbeck's claim gained international support and sparked several rebellions before he was eventually captured and executed in 1499, consolidating Henry VII's hold on the throne. What is a nickname or a fancy name of a person, group or place which is familiar enough to be used instead of a real name without the need of explanation? Sobriquet. A sobriquet is a descriptive nickname, often humorous or pejorative, given to a person or place. It functions as an informal alternative to a proper name, recognized without further explanation due to common usage. What device emits light, electromagnetic radiation, which is usually spatially coherent, through a process called stimulated emission? Laser. Laser stands for light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. It's a device that produces a narrow, intense beam of light, often coherent and monochromatic, through a quantum mechanical process, with diverse applications across technology and science. The Wright brothers' first powered flight, in 1903, took place where? Kitty Hawk. The Wright brothers, Orville and Wilbur, achieved their historic first controlled, sustained flight of a powered aircraft on December 17, 1903. This momentous event occurred at Kill Devil Hills, just south of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, marking the dawn of aviation. In which country is the city of Lisbon? Northern Ireland. Lisbon is a city in Northern Ireland, located southwest of Belfast. It is one of Northern Ireland's largest cities and serves as a significant administrative and commercial centre. What annual event, to have been held in 2008, was cancelled after Al-Qaeda's murder of 4 French tourists on Christmas Eve in December 2007 in Mauritania? The Dakar Rally. The Dakar Rally, a renowned rally raid race, was cancelled in 2008 due to security threats from Al-Qaeda in Mauritania. This incident highlighted the significant impact of geopolitical instability and terrorism on major international events, leading to the rally's relocation to South America in subsequent years. Competitors representing which country won the most Olympic gold medals in Greco-Roman wrestling between 1896 and 2008? The Soviet Union, URS. The Soviet Union, URSS, demonstrated remarkable dominance in Greco-Roman wrestling at the Olympic Games between 1896 and 2008. Their athletes consistently secured the highest number of gold medals, reflecting a strong national emphasis on sports development and athletic prowess in this discipline. Which river runs through the cities of Shanghai, Chongqing, Jingzhou, Yangzhou and Nantong? Yangtze. The Yangtze River is the longest river in Asia and the third longest in the world, flowing entirely within China. It traverses numerous major cities, including Chongqing, Jingzhou, and Shanghai, playing a crucial role in transportation, agriculture, and hydroelectric power in China. The word newspeak was coined in which novel? 1984. The term newspeak was coined by George Orwell in his dystopian novel 1984, published in 1949. Newspeak is a controlled language designed by the totalitarian party to limit freedom of thought and concept, making rebellious ideas literally unthinkable, and serves as a powerful commentary on language manipulation for political control. What was the name of the step that ran under the bottom of the doors on early motor cars? Running board. A running board was a narrow step fitted below the doors of early motor cars, serving as a platform for passengers to step on while entering or exiting the vehicle. It was a common feature until the mid-20th century, when car designs evolved to have lower chassis and integrated door sills, rendering running boards largely obsolete. In what language was the Iliad originally written? Greek. The Iliad is an ancient Greek epic poem attributed to Homer, narrating a crucial period of the Trojan War. Its composition in ancient Greek makes it a foundational text of Western literature and a key source for understanding classical Greek culture and mythology. What genus of flowering plants, comprising 70 to 75 species native to Asia and the Americas, primarily consist of shrubs 1 to 3 meters tall, with some species growing as small trees or lianas up to 30 meters? Hydrangea. Hydrangea is a diverse genus of flowering plants primarily found in Asia and the Americas, known for its showy flower clusters. These plants exhibit various growth forms, including shrubs, small trees, and climbing lianas, making them popular in horticulture worldwide. The Arapawa Island, California red, Corriedale, East Frisian, Hampshire, Oxford, Romney, South Dorset, Swifter, and Yemeni are all types of what animal? Sheep. These names represent various breeds of domestic sheep, Ovis aries, each developed through selective breeding for specific characteristics such as wool production, meat quality, or adaptability to different climates. Recognizing major livestock breeds is important in animal husbandry and agricultural studies. What name was popularly given to the event on the 6th of December 1989 when Mark Lepine killed 14 women and injured 10 women and 4 men, now commemorated annually in Canada as the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women? The École Polytechnique Massacre. The École Polytechnique Massacre was a horrific mass shooting that occurred on December 6, 1989, at the École Polytechnique de Montréal. Perpetrated by Mark Lepine, who targeted women, this event resulted in the deaths of 14 female students and injuries to others. Canada now observes December 6 annually as the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. The national holiday celebrated in the USA on the 4th of July each year is to commemorate events surrounding which war? American War of Independence. The 4th of July, widely known as Independence Day, is a federal holiday in the United States celebrating the Declaration of Independence on July 4, 1776. This seminal document announced the separation of the 13 colonies from Great Britain. The declaration was a pivotal event during the American War of Independence, ultimately leading to the formation of the United States of America. Achille Gorky, Willem de Kooning, Franz Klein, Mark Rothko, Philip Guston, Hans Hofmann, Clifford Still, Barnett Newman, Ad Reinhardt, Richard Pauzet Dart, Robert Motherwell, Peter Wokos and Jackson Pollock painted in what style? Abstract Expressionism. Abstract Expressionism was a significant post-World War II art movement in American painting, primarily developed in New York City during the 1940s. It was the first American art movement to gain international influence, characterized by its emphasis on spontaneous, gestural brushstrokes, and non-representational forms to express emotion. Key figures like Jackson Pollock and Mark Rothko are synonymous with this influential style. The plant Solerolia of the nettle family has a number of common names, including baby's tears, angel's tears, mind your own business, peace in the home, Pollyanna wine, the Corsican curse, Irish moss and which other. Mother of thousands. Solerolia soleroli, often known as baby's tears or angel's tears, is a delicate-looking, mat-forming perennial plant belonging to the nettle family, Urticaceae. Native to the Mediterranean region, it is frequently cultivated as an ornamental plant for ground cover or as a house plant due to its dense growth habit and tiny, numerous leaves. The words a and an are what parts of speech? Indefinite articles. In English grammar, a and an are classified as indefinite articles. They are used before singular, countable nouns when the noun is general, unspecified, or being introduced for the first time. A precedes words beginning with a consonant sound, while an precedes words beginning with a vowel sound. Which river forms part of the border between the USA and Canada? St. Lawrence. The St. Lawrence River is a major river in North America, flowing from Lake Ontario in a northeasterly direction towards the Atlantic Ocean. It forms a significant portion of the international boundary between the United States and Canada, particularly separating New York State from Ontario and Quebec. This river is crucial for shipping, hydropower, and has played a vital role in the history and economy of both countries. What activity was legalized by the Board of Health in New York City in March 2010? Beekeeping. This question touches upon urban policy and environmental considerations. Legalizing beekeeping in a major city like New York reflects a growing interest in urban agriculture, biodiversity, and sustainable practices, often driven by ecological concerns like pollinator decline. The Russian city of Volgograd, known as Tsaritsyn from 1589 to 1925, was renamed from what in 1961? Stalingrad. The city now known as Volgograd underwent several name changes reflecting significant periods in Russian history. Its renaming from Stalingrad in 1961 was part of Nikita Khrushchev's de-Stalinization campaign, aiming to erase the cult of personality surrounding Joseph Stalin. The Battle of Stalingrad during World War II was one of the deadliest and most decisive battles in history. What mathematical principle states that the sum of the squares of the lengths of the four sides of a parallelogram equals the sum of the squares of the lengths of its two diagonals? Parallelogram law. The parallelogram law, or parallelogram identity, is a fundamental theorem in geometry and vector algebra. It relates the lengths of the sides of a parallelogram to the lengths of its diagonals. This law is a generalization of the Pythagorean theorem for non-right triangles and is often used in physics to calculate the resultant of two vectors. What historical event led to various powers, including Britain, France, Belgium, Portugal, South Africa, Japan, New Zealand, and Australia, gaining control over territories such as the Cameroons, Togoland, Rwanda-Urundi, Southwest Africa, and several Pacific islands. The end of World War I. Following the end of World War I and the collapse of the German and Ottoman Empire, the League of Nations established a mandate system. This system assigned control over former German colonies and Ottoman territories to the Allied powers, ostensibly to prepare them for independence. These mandates redistributed significant colonial holdings among the victorious nations. What traditional design was often featured on a convict's uniform? Arrows. The broad arrow symbol was historically used in Britain to mark government property, including the uniforms of convicts and military equipment. It served as a clear identifier, symbolizing that the wearer was under state custody and deterring escape by making the uniform easily recognizable. This practice reflects aspects of penal history and government control. What chemical element is primarily used in match heads? Phosphorus. Phosphorus, specifically red phosphorus, is a key component in match heads. It reacts with the oxidizing agent on the striking surface to ignite the match, demonstrating a practical application of chemical reactivity. In 1988, for what reason was the Obey awarded to English professional jockey Lester Piggott in 1975 revoked? Tax evasion. Lester Piggott, a celebrated English jockey, had his Order of the British Empire, Obey, revoked in 1988 following his conviction for tax evasion. This incident highlights that national honors can be withdrawn due to serious misconduct or criminal activity, underscoring the expectations of integrity associated with such awards. Where did Martin Luther King Jr. deliver his iconic, "I Have a Dream" speech on August 28, 1963? The Lincoln Memorial, Washington, D.C. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his seminal, "I Have a Dream" speech on August 28, 1963, from the steps of the Lincoln Memorial during the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. This powerful address became a defining moment of the American civil rights movement, advocating for racial equality and an end to discrimination. Which sovereign state, considered the world's smallest and oldest republic, is entirely surrounded by Italy in the Apennine Mountains? San Marino. San Marino is a microstate entirely surrounded by Italy, situated in the Apennine Mountains. Recognized as the world's oldest surviving sovereign state and constitutional republic, its founding date is traditionally cited as the 3rd of September 301 AD. Which fortified U.S. Army post and bullion depository is known for storing a significant portion of the U.S. official gold reserves, and also houses the U.S. Army Armor Center and Armor School? Fort Knox. Fort Knox is a United States Army post and the site of the United States Bullion Depository in Kentucky. It is renowned for storing a large percentage of the U.S. official gold reserves, making it a symbol of national wealth and security. Which subregion of Oceania encompasses island nations and territories such as Fiji, New Caledonia, New Guinea, the Solomon Islands, and Vanuatu? Melanesia. Melanesia is a subregion of Oceania, extending from the western end of the Pacific Ocean to the Arafura Sea, and eastward to Fiji. It is characterized by its distinct indigenous cultures and diverse geography, encompassing a large number of islands, including New Guinea, the Solomon Islands, and Vanuatu. The nutmeg tree is important for two spices derived from the fruit, nutmeg and which other? Mace. Nutmeg and mace are two distinct spices derived from the fruit of the *Myristica fragrans * tree. Nutmeg is the dried seed, while mace is the aril, a lacy red covering around the seed. Both are widely used in culinary applications and have been historically significant trade commodities. International Workers' Day is observed in many countries of the world on the 1st of May. What does it commemorate? The achievements of the international labor movement. International Workers' Day, also known as May Day, commemorates the struggles and achievements of the international labor movement. It originated from the Haymarket Affair in Chicago in 1886, advocating for an 8-hour workday, and is now a public holiday in many nations. What are Gleaser 876D, Urval 2005B, L, G-390 LB, Moya 2007B, L, G-192 LB, Coro EX07B, Gleaser 581D and Gleaser 581C? Planets. These celestial bodies are exoplanets, which are planets orbiting stars outside our solar system. The study and discovery of exoplanets are crucial fields in astronomy, providing insights into planetary formation and the potential for life beyond Earth. What is the southernmost national capital city in the world? Wellington, New Zealand. Wellington, the capital city of New Zealand, holds the distinction of being the southernmost national capital in the world. Its unique geographical location contributes to its distinctive climate and topography at the southwestern tip of the North Island. What does an horologist make? Clocks. An horologist is a specialist in the science of measuring time, involved in the making, repairing, or studying of timekeeping instruments like clocks and watches. Horology encompasses a rich history of scientific innovation and intricate craftsmanship, vital for navigation and daily life. What number do the numbers on opposite sides of a die always add up to? 7. On a standard 6-sided die, the numbers on opposite faces always sum up to 7. This design ensures an even distribution of outcomes when rolling the die, a fundamental principle for fair play in various games of chance. What structural element of a building protrudes from the plane of a sloping roof surface, creating usable space in the roof by adding headroom and usually enabling addition of windows? Dormer. A dormer is a structural element of a building that protrudes vertically from the plane of a sloping roof. It creates usable space, adds headroom, and often incorporates a window, enhancing both the aesthetics and functionality of the attic or upper floor. In an operation headed by Ali Hassan al-Majid, a cousin of then Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein, Iraq used the deadly nerve gas sarin against what minority in 1987 and 1988? Kurds. The Al-Anfal campaign, led by Ali Hassan al-Majid, involved the Iraqi government's use of chemical weapons, including sarin, against the Kurdish population in 1987-1988. This act of genocide is a grave violation of human rights and a significant event in modern Middle Eastern history. In 1957, Walter Frederick Morrison sold the manufacturing rights to what product, which is now known as the Frisbee. Pluto platter. The Frisbee, a popular flying disc toy, was originally known as the Pluto platter when its manufacturing rights were sold by Walter Frederick Morrison in 1957. It evolved from pie tins thrown by college students, eventually becoming a global phenomenon in recreational sports. What city is the setting for David Mamet's plays, American Buffalo, 1975, and Glengarry Glen Ross, 1982? Chicago. David Mamet is a Pulitzer Prize-winning American playwright known for his distinctive dialogue and examination of American life and capitalism. Both American Buffalo and Glengarry Glen Ross are seminal works, often studied in literature and drama courses, and are notably set in Chicago, Mamet's hometown. What series of major events in Norse mythology includes the death of several major gods, a great flood, and the repopulation of the world by 2 human survivors? Ragnarok. Ragnarok, meaning fate of the gods, is a series of prophesied events in Norse mythology, involving a great battle, the death of prominent gods like Odin, Thor, and Loki, and various natural disasters leading to the submersion of the world. After this cataclysm, a new world emerges, fertile and reborn, with 2 human survivors, Lif and Lifraze, repopulating it. What is the country of origin of the cheese called feta? Greece. Feta is a brined-curd white cheese traditionally made in Greece from sheep's milk, or a mixture of sheep's and goat's milk. It holds a protected designation of origin, PDO, status, meaning only cheese produced in specific regions of Greece using traditional methods can legally be called feta. Where is the Sea of Waves located? On the Moon. The Sea of Waves, or Mare Andarum in Latin, is a lunar mare situated on the eastern limb of the Moon. Like other lunar maria, it is a vast, dark, basaltic plain formed by ancient volcanic eruptions, appearing dark due to its lower albedo. What is the standard electricity voltage provided as mains power in Britain? 230 volts. In Britain and across most of Europe, the standard mains electricity supply voltage is 230 volts, V, at a frequency of 50 Hz, Hz. This standard was harmonized to promote consistency and facilitate trade within the European Union, although older installations might still reflect slightly higher or lower voltages. How did US President John F. Kennedy die? Assassination. John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States, was assassinated on November 22, 1963, in Dallas, Texas, while riding in a motorcade. The Warren Commission, established to investigate the incident, concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone in the assassination, a finding that has remained a subject of historical debate. The symptoms for which poisoning include violent stomach pains, retching, excessive saliva production, vomiting, a sense of dryness and tightness in the throat, thirst, hoarseness, difficulty of speech, diarrhea, clammy sweats, and delirium. Arsenic. Arsenic poisoning can lead to a wide range of severe and often fatal symptoms due to its interference with cellular enzymes and metabolic processes. Acute exposure typically manifests with intense gastrointestinal distress, neurological impairments, and cardiovascular issues, reflecting its highly toxic nature and historical use as a poison. The Numbered Treaties, a series of 11 treaties signed between the Aboriginal peoples and the reigning monarch, Victoria, Edward VII or George V, from 1871 to 1921, apply in which country? Canada. The numbered treaties are a crucial part of Canadian history, defining the relationship between the Crown and Indigenous peoples in various regions. These 11 treaties, signed between 1871 and 1921, involved the exchange of land for promises of reserves, annuities, and other provisions, shaping the socio-political landscape of Canada. José Santos Zelaya, William Walker, Adolfo Diaz, Emiliano Chamorro, Juan Bautista Sacasa, Anastasio Somoza Garcia, Luis Somoza, Violeta Chamorro, Enrique Bolaños, and Daniel Ortega are associated with the politics of which country? Nicaragua. This list comprises prominent political figures from Nicaragua, spanning a significant period of its turbulent history. It includes presidents, dictators, and revolutionaries who shaped the nation's political landscape, reflecting periods of foreign intervention, civil conflict, and shifts in governance. Water, Libiamone, Laiti Calici, O So Fanciulla, and Pale Mua da Mamia. Operatic duets for tenor and soprano. These are highly famous and recognizable operatic duets. Libiamone, Laiti Calici, is from Verdi's La Traviata, O So Fanciulla, is from Puccini's La Bohème, and Pale Mua da Mamia, is from Bizet's Carmen. These pieces are quintessential examples of the tenor-soprano duet, showcasing the emotional and vocal range of opera. Orchard Road, which had a $40 million revamp in 2009, is the retail and entertainment center of which city? Singapore. Orchard Road is Singapore's premier shopping belt and a major tourist attraction. Known for its high-end malls, luxury boutiques, and vibrant entertainment options, it serves as a significant commercial and cultural hub for the city-state. Who painted the famous painting known as The Night Watch? Rembrandt. The Night Watch is one of the most famous masterpieces of the Dutch Golden Age, painted by Rembrandt van Rijn in 1642. This large oil painting is renowned for its dramatic use of light and shadow, chiaroscuro, and its dynamic composition, depicting a civic guard company.